Indiana Fever might be screwed, and we have to break this down with everybody being so thirsty, jumping at all of these other leagues, jumping at all of this other money alongside the WNBA CBA negotiation, which is looking to add 54, make the season 54 games. So they're trying to add 10 more games on top of what they played last season. This presents a serious scheduling conflict for the WNBA and Project B, as these two seem like
the Indiana Fever engaged in risky play. Fans are going crazy because they risked with their lineup, relying on loyalty in a competitive league. Sophie Cunningham, a well-liked celebrity, is in danger of being eliminated permanently. Losing a player isn't the only issue here. This enormous error of judgment has the potential to destroy the foundation that Caitlin Clark's arrival was built upon. The new WNBA environment necessitates brutal choices. Additionally, Indiana may have just sealed their own doom by alienating supporters and endangering their future. As the reality of their oversight collapses, the front office's silence is deafening. Nobody could have predicted the severity of this crisis. The franchise is experiencing a true nightmare.
Calendar. Now this is a problem. Kelsey Mitchell is signed with Project B. Kelsey Mitchell is not signed in the WNBA right now. Let's be clear here. So how is that supposed to work? How's that supposed to work? Are they gonna let her miss parts of Project B so she could play in the WNBA? I highly doubt it. Here says the Startup League, which plans for its inaugural season to begin November and extend through April, said this week that its Tokyo tournament will start March 26, 2027. Now, check this out. Here it says, let's get to the meat and potatoes, man.
The WNBA's drawn-out CBA negotiations, which have dominated the entire offseason, are the main source of the issue. The Fever are unable to make important roster solidification decisions since league business is still on hold. Key players are left in limbo as a result of this impasse, which prevents free agent offers from being made and contracts from being signed. The delay shortens the time for important transactions, necessitating a hasty decision-making process that may result in more mistakes. For a squad that sorely needs to leverage its newfound star power, this halt is more than just a hassle, it's a strategic nightmare.
And potatoes. Boom. According to a source familiar with negotiations, the WNBA is proposing an increase from 44 games to 50 to 54 games in the new CBA. The league's proposed start date for training camp is as early as mid-March, with the finals ending in November. A number of league sources expressed confusion over a potential mid-March start date, questioning how training camp could overlap with the NCAA schedule and what the expectation would be for rookies. Training camp started April 27 last season, 2 weeks.
The WNBA's proposed schedule modification is one of the biggest risks. The league intends to increase the number of games to 54, which would add a substantial 10 more to the season. That's not all, though. With training camps perhaps starting in mid-March, they are pushing for an extremely early start date. This drastic change puts other significant basketball commitments in jeopardy, particularly Project B, a rival league where Fever star Kelsey Mitchell has already inked a hefty contract. There will inevitably be a conflict, which will force players to make an unthinkable decision in the event of an Indiana roster crisis.
Project B and the WNBA seem to be on a collision course. Now, even if they don't start in March and they start the season later, Project B, they're still gonna bump into Project B's schedule. How's that gonna work when you got players under contract in the WNBA and signing to Project B? How's this gonna work? There's gonna have to start being some sort of exclusivity in these deals to where you can't play in this league, you can't play in that league. That's what it's gonna have to be, or else it's just gonna be a big issue. Here it says on Sports Illustrated, Indiana Fever face big decisions once WNBA CBA is done. WNBA...
With her contract now in place for the new league, which intends to start its Tokyo tournament stop on March 26, 2027, Kelsey Mitchell's commitment to Project B is now a ticking time bomb for the Fever. There is a clear conflict with the WNBA's anticipated start of training camp in March. Will Mitchell have to miss portions of Project B due to the Fever? Or will she put her Project B contract first, possibly losing a lot of WNBA time. This is more than just a scheduling issue. The club could fall apart before the season even starts due to player loyalty and contractual responsibilities.
Sports Illustrated, Indiana Fever face big decisions once WNBA CBA is done. WNBA business is on pause amid CBA negotiations, but the Indiana Fever must prepare for when the floodgates open. Now, here it says the WNBA CBA negotiations have hijacked the offseason, with league business put on pause until a new deal is done. Now, we all know everything is on pause right now, right? They wanted to send out free agent offers. They said, nope, don't send out nothing. We're not going to sign anything, all of this stuff. Now, we only got Michaela Timpson, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston under contract. Sophie Cunningham already told y'all she not trying.
Moving the season up into March or early April would directly conflict with the Final Four, which is a huge showcase for up-and-coming rookies. The WNBA's demand for more games at an earlier start entirely ignores the crucial significance of the NCAA tournament. Building momentum and exposing up-and-coming talent like Caitlin Clark to a wider audience before they even enter the WNBA depend on this moment. The league runs the danger of cannibalizing its own future talent pipeline and lessening the excitement surrounding its most anticipated draft classes if it pushes for an early start. Their own growth strategy is undermined by this terrible concept.
Disrespected by Stephanie White and this new crew that came in here throwing their weight around, throwing her to the back burner for Dewana the Scammer, Bonner, and Natasha Howard, and all these people that was absolute trash for the team, throwing her to the back burner just for her to show up and save everybody's ass again. It's a core four, not a big three. Lexi Hall is a part of the Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell core, and she needs to be treated as such. Here it says, given more transactions than ever will take place in a condensed period of time, with players needing to be protected, signed, and drafted. Okay, to expand.
The impending expansion draft, which threatens to deprive the Fever of additional valuable assets, is a major factor contributing to the upheaval. The Golden State Valkyries defeated Indiana's TMI Fagbin Lad last year. Teams are probably only allowed to safeguard 5 players rather than 6, making the restrictions much stricter this time. The front office in Indiana is under more pressure to decide who stays and who leaves as a result of the reduction in protected seats. It is difficult to accept the prospect of losing a significant contributor without receiving just recompense, particularly when attempting to assemble a championship contender around Clark.
She will wind up back with the Fever regardless. Now, if you don't protect Sophie Cunningham, you're running a risk. Because if I'm the Toronto Tempo or the Portland Fire, I'm definitely gonna sign Sophie Cunningham, and I'm definitely gonna pay her, because due to her being next to Caitlin Clark, she's become a household name in the WNBA. She's gonna help me maybe sell some tickets, even though she's not a max level player. She still benefits my organization, her being on the team, with her brand and image being up because of Caitlin Clark. So if you don't protect Sophie Cunningham, she's good as gone. That's why I'm saying
The biggest error made by the Fever is made abundantly clear in the protection dilemma. For security, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull are regarded as locks. There is now just one seat left. Who gets that last spot is a hotly debated topic. Fan favorite Sophie Cunningham, who has become well known because of her closeness to Clark's explosive rise, or Nalissa Smith, who is currently on a rookie contract. They don't want to make this decision, but it shows how vulnerable they are with few protection slots and high-value players.
If the WNBA goes to 54 games, but they start the season later and it trickles on further into November, further down the line, and it interferes with Kelsey Mitchell's Project B contract, what happens? This is what I'm saying, man. This could get crazy. This could get absolutely crazy. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. KTV gonna keep you updated on everything going on. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, and get down those comments. I'll see you on the next one.
It would be disastrous to leave Sophie Cunningham unguarded. She has openly expressed her wish to rejoin the Fever, but she also wants a maximum contract and to purchase a home, indicating that she will not accept a pay reduction. Any new expansion team, like as Portland or Toronto, would seize the opportunity to sign her. She is an immediate advantage for ticket sales and team popularity due to her improved brand and image, which are further reinforced by her affiliation with Caitlin Clark. Losing a player is not the only danger associated with her departure. It's wasting a real advantage that comes straight from the Caitlin Clark impact. There is more to Sophie Cunningham's predicament than sentimental worth. It has to do with smart business. She is a well-known quantity, a proven contributor whose market worth has increased dramatically. If you don't defend her, you risk losing her and giving a rival expansion team access to a ready-made fan base and media attention. This mistake shows a serious miscalculation of player worth and post-Clark market dynamics. The Fever are fighting to hold onto its own core while effectively giving an opponent a competitive advantage. Another significant obstacle is Kelsey Mitchell's contract demands. To stay with the Fever, she will surely need a maximum contract, which will involve a substantial financial commitment. The Fever is heightened by this, Sophie Cunningham's ambition for elite compensation, and the need to land Lexi Hull. Only Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Alyssa Smith are currently bound by their current contracts, pushing the salary ceiling to its utmost limit. Resigning and safeguarding its entire core without going bankrupt or losing talent is an enormous undertaking for Indiana. Another issue is the way Lexi Hull is being treated. The source material emphasizes how the former coaching staff disregarded her and put her on the back burner. She continuously showed up and rescued everyone's ace in spite of this. Along with Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, Hull is an essential member of the core four and should be considered as such. Neglecting to put her safety and just compensation first would be a grave error. Disrespecting a important player who has often shown her value, possibly lowering team morale. Additionally, there is a clear clash between Project B and the WNBA's demand on an earlier start date. No matter how long the WNBA season is, athletes like Kelsey Mitchell are already committed to Project B, so even if the WNBA extends its season into November, it will still conflict with their schedule. This implies that the league will soon have to deal with a harsh reality. Either demand exclusivity provisions in WNBA contracts or let players manage competing schedules, which is unsustainable. The future of professional women's basketball and player agency will be significantly impacted by this choice. The idea of exclusivity deals is quickly becoming indispensable. A collision path is unavoidable when athletes sign contracts in several leagues. The WNBA will probably encourage players to dedicate themselves entirely to their league in an effort to capitalize on its increased attention. Top athletes who want to maximize their wages and playing possibilities may be alienated by this approach, which could compel players to choose between the WNBA and other lucrative alternatives like Project B. Such a limitation would be extremely detrimental to player autonomy and might incite animosity. As of right now, the Fever only have 3 players with guaranteed contracts: Melissa Smith, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark. For the time being, the organization must make an unprecedented number of free agency decisions in a short amount of time due to the severe lack of roster stability and the CBA discussions. As soon as the all-clear is granted, they have to quit almost their whole roster. A difficult undertaking that greatly raises the possibility of losing important components to other teams and gives little tolerance for error. The WNBA's suggested earlier start date is a terrible strategic decision for player growth and fan interaction. Rookies joining the league will have less time to be ready, create excitement, and make a seamless transition if the off-season is shortened and overlapped with the NCAA. Additionally, this lessens the draft's impact, which is crucial for creating interest rather than taking advantage of every chance to expand the game. The league appears determined to foster internal strife that threatens the very celebrities they depend on for viewership. The Fever's predicament is made worse by the intense competition for player talent and financial resources from other leagues and chances, such as Project B. Players now have more options and leverage than ever because of this competitive environment. The WNBA runs the risk of driving away players who might find greater stability or higher compensation elsewhere by attempting to add more games at an earlier start. The Fever's personnel choices are considerably more crucial and vulnerable to fatal errors as a result of the increasing competition. Due to the uncertainties, a cascade of issues for Indiana related to the CBA negotiations. Everything related to their off-season preparation is on hold, including roster construction and player retention. Despite being essential for the league, this inaction exposes the Fever. They are unable to properly prepare for the future, secure their talent, or respond to the market. The longer this continues, the greater the chance that the Fever will be caught off guard when the floodgates eventually open. An additional degree of pressure and irony is added to the issue by the assertion that the WNBA cannot generate any ratings without Caitlin Clark. Although there is no denying that her appearance has increased viewing, the league's proposed adjustments, and the Fever's subsequent talent retention issues run the danger of undercutting that very achievement. The ratings bubble might burst if Clark's team is undermined by bad choices or forced departures, demonstrating that star power alone is insufficient in the absence of a strong, competitive team. With scheduling difficulties with Kelsey Mitchell and the very real threat of losing Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever are in a pretty unpleasant situation. These are not small setbacks. The team's progress could be derailed before Caitlin Clark's second season even starts due to these basic flaws in its foundation. These possible errors could have long-lasting effects on team cohesion, fan loyalty, and the ability to use their generational skill to create a championship challenger. In the end, the Fever's current situation reveals a serious strategic error on the part of both the team and possibly the league as a whole. With everyone's eyes on Caitlin Clark, stability and making the most of her influence should be the main priorities. Rather, Indiana is confronted with a perfect storm of player retention struggles, expansion draft threats, and CBA disputes. The supporters are furious because they believe a fantastic chance is passing them by, endangering a promising future that shouldn't have been risked by the presence of the biggest basketball player.